All meetings are ordered. For those who care to, please rise for an opening prayer and a salute to our flag. Go ahead and bow your heads with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and thank you for the time we get to spend together. Thank you for all these young men and older gentlemen who have supported this city, blessed it. Thank you for blessing them. Thank you for allowing us to be the leaders that you want us to be and do the things that you want us to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, no kidding. We'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Special occasion for not only City Council but the City Republic. We have the 1963 championship men's basketball team here tonight. We also have the 2013 men's basketball team here from Republic as well. It's a unique situation. But we'd like to say that we're going to recognize everybody tonight. But before we get to that, I'm going to ask Coach Leland Brown to stand up, come to the microphone, and introduce all his players that are here. And we certainly appreciate some of you who traveled. I think, Hank, you traveled from New Hampshire?
Yep.
New Hampshire. I'm not going to pick on Hank. He's probably the tallest one in the room. He also is probably the only one that has KU basketball tickets. And since I'm a Kansas State grad, we're going to go at it later in a one-on-one. So, Leland, if you would.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here. This has been quite a year for us, I'll tell you for sure. And one of yours was one of our important people. Charlie Bashirs was our cameraman. He took the video, if you saw him on somewhere, and he and a teacher took those and had them fixed for us, and that's what you've been seeing. He was a senior that year.
Yeah, I never tell anybody's age on their birthday, but all I have to do is
I'm not talking about ages here, but but if you add 50 to whatever you think he was when he was a senior. We do have several of our players here. We thought a few more were going to be here, but I think one of them, Terry Mooneyham, his grandson is pitching tonight. And that's probably the reason he's not here. But I'll introduce those that are here. My wife, first of all, she's part of the team. She didn't even travel with us, but she took care of a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old at the ball game. The 4-year-old couldn't stand noises, but she was very much part of it. But I'll just take these guys, and you want them to come up here?
Absolutely. I'm going to have a sign of basketball on their way up. If that'd be all right.
And you're coming up, he wants you to autograph a basketball. First of all, we've got Seth Coggin. Seth is representing his dad, who passed away last summer. And we appreciate that. He's done that in each of our times that we've been introduced. And we got John Thurman, or Randy Coggin as his son, or his dad. I'll get it right. John Thurman, he was our senior manager, and I tell you, John was a whole lot more than what you normally think of a manager. I was the coach, the only coach, and he was my assistant. He helped me in everything, and it's unbelievable how much actual help he gave me during the year. And then we have Tony Logan. He passed away in 2008. He was one of our starters. And he's represented by his wife, Andrea. His son, John, has represented him at 2 other events, but he couldn't be here. So we appreciate Andrea coming and representing Tony. Tony was an all-stater that year, and he was the key to the whole team. He was a very important part of it. Then we have Howard Orange, the little guy. He was just a sophomore that year, and Howard was 3-time All-Stater, and in 1965 he made 3 All-American teams. He went on to Kansas and played 4 years out there. and he's from New Hampshire. We got Charlie Cook showed up on, here's Charlie Cook. He was a top reserve, and Charlie could have started on most of the teams that we played against. He would have been a starter. We have John Wagner. He was a little guy back then, but he grew a lot. He was a sophomore, and he's from Tulsa. And actually, John got sick and couldn't go with us to the Final Four. But he was a good reserve and very good ball player in the next couple of years. Richard Brewer, he was, I think, a junior that year. Is that right?
Yep.
He was one of the reserves. He lives here in Republic. We have Jeff Johnson. He's representing his dad, Gary. Gary has something wrong with him. He can't stand to wear a jacket. So he lives here when it's hot, but he lives deep down in Texas when it's not. So it hadn't warmed up enough for him yet. So Jeff is representing his dad, Gary. We have Harold Harris. Harold lives here in Republic, except in the wintertime when he goes to Florida. And he was one of our starters and did a tremendous job for us. We have Don Carlson. He was a senior. Donnie, as you mentioned a while ago, he's the one that was diagnosed with cancer last summer, and he's been representing the Coaches versus Cancer throughout the area this year. Donnie was a two-time All-Stater, and he two-time All-Ozarks. He leads the Republic boys rebound. He holds the rebound record in Republic. He's second in points. Howard Arndt holds the point total in Republic, and he's second in rebounds. Now, to have both on the same team, that's something. I don't think I mentioned Butch Blades. He's a starter. He's not here, but he lives here in Republic. But he was a very key member, and in fact, one of our leading scorers in the Final Four. I think I better quit. Coach? You got a sign. Huh? Okay. Sue? I would be amiss if I didn't say something about this year's team. It's a shame that the boys waited 50 years to win again. The girls have been very successful. But I'll tell you about these kids. Gary Stanfield had them for 4 years, and he left a good bunch of kids for a so-called first-year coach, Trevor Fisher. Now, he's had a lot of experience. He's a lot more than a first-year coach. But I'll tell you, I've seen these kids press in ball games, be successful. I've seen them fast break in ball games, be successful. I've seen them not stall, like Branson. I've seen them slow down in ball games and being successful. I've seen them use the inside men and be successful. I've seen them use the outside and be successful. And they've done a tremendous job this year. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
We have one cheerleader from the team standing right
You guys may have to scoot up and then let them slide behind you.
Short guy.
Short guy.
How about this? Scoot up this way. Charlie and Leland, you guys want to go there? Charlie, you got to be in front of the sign. You know these pictures.
He didn't want to move. Charlie didn't want to move. Where's he trying to go?
Then he did a limbo in Florida.
Have you recovered yet, Charlie? Sure. Harold can dribble on his knees. What are you talking about?
He did. You did. I saw it.
Original curly knee.
And just to let everybody know, once these basketballs are signed, they're going to be put in the Historical Society in the City Republic for eternity. So just want to let you guys know that. Coach Fisher, please come up, say a few words, and then we'll have to do the same thing, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for having us here, and then also want to thank the 1963 team again for being here. It's incredible. This is now the third or fourth time that we've had a chance to be in the same room with you guys, and just to think 50 years ago, that you guys had the same opportunity to share in what we shared about a month ago, and for you guys to still be able to gather as a group is pretty incredible. And I think this group over here on my right will do the same thing, and hopefully 50 years from now they'll be able to do the same things that you guys have done. So thank you again for coming. We appreciate your support throughout the entire year. So as far as our group this year, this being my first year, it was an incredible group to coach. Didn't have to deal with issues off the court as far as academics or guys pouting, and whenever you can do that, you can be a successful team. So I want to credit the team first and foremost for that. Also wanted to recognize my assistant, Dan Standard. Dan's been in the community for a very long time, as I like to kid him all the time. But he was a great support system for myself and someone to rely upon. So I want to thank him as well. I'll just go ahead and introduce all of our guys, and they can come up and sign the ball. Our lone sophomore on this group was Brock Yoakum, and we're excited about Brock having 2 years left to really help this program. And then we'll move into the junior class. I'll just go right down the line here. Jordan Kerr. Jordan played great minutes for the junior varsity this year, and we expect him to make that jump up to the varsity level next year. Next is junior Dakota Fortner. Same thing, played valuable minutes on the JV team this year, and can really shoot the ball, and we look for great things from him as well. Next is Dylan Ramsey. I'm not sure, Dylan, you have your cowboy boots on today? No. Dylan usually wears his cowboy boots into school, but he decided to go with the tennis shoes, but decided to have him for next year as well. Next is Josh Vaughn. Josh was worried he wasn't going to be able to be here on time today because he was getting his hair cut, but I'm glad he made it. Hair looks good. Hopefully you gave the barber a good tip. So. Next is junior Chase Hoffman. Sorry for a curve there, Chase. Chase has done a good job since the season's been over of getting in the weight room and getting stronger, and hopefully he'll be able to provide some good minutes for us next year. And then guys that, were all integral parts in the Final Four run this season. First, Kenyon Smith. Kenyon is a tremendous shooter, left-handed guard. Really had some good minutes for us this year, hit some big shots in some crucial times, and I know he's going to continue to work on his game this summer. Next is Dylan Beckmeyer. Dylan, this was his first year at the varsity level and came in and did a tremendous job at the point guard position. We had some struggles early, but he matured into a good player, and now we just got to worry about him shooting some good scores on the golf course here in the next couple of weeks. So. And then next is Cody Geiger. Cody was a all-district, all-Ozarks, and all-state player for us this year. And, you think of all-state being kind of the pinnacle, but really I think the most important or the most interesting thing was his all-Ozarks nomination. I think the guy in the newspaper said there's 120 schools in the news leader coverage area, and if there's 10 players on each team, and to be selected as one of the top 5, no matter if you're a junior, senior, sophomore, whatever it is, that's pretty incredible. So congratulations to Cody on that. And then our senior class, and you're only as good as your seniors. And I know Coach Brown, you had a great group as well on your squad, but you're only as good as your seniors. And we had 5 tremendous ones. Grant Hancock is not here today. He's up in Columbia with some sort of school function. So he texted and said he couldn't be here, but he was obviously a very important part of our team with rebounding and defense and all the stuff that he did. Derek Murtis. Derek is a tremendous young man. Wish he was a redshirt senior. We talk about that all the time. Wish he could come back next year, because Derek is a very good player, just didn't have the opportunity to play quite as much as I know he didn't, as he wanted to, and myself, just because the stockpile of big guys that we have. But Derek was a tremendous teammate and really enjoyed having him around. Next is Ty Abney. Ty didn't get the memo on wearing the black or the orange today, but that's all right. He thinks he looks good, and that's all that matters. But Ty had a great senior year for us, came off the bench, provided energy, great defensive player, really pleasantly surprised with the year that he had, and was a big part, especially in that championship game on the defensive end. Marcus Miller. Excuse me. Marcus had a tremendous senior year as well. All-state, all-district. Had the game-winning shot in the state semifinals. And Marcus, sometimes he got to play a bunch, sometimes he didn't, just based upon the people that we played against. But he did a great job of filling his role and really improved from last season to this season. And Marcus will go on and play somewhere in the next at the next level, and that should be decided here in the next couple weeks. And then last is Jake Fletcher. Excuse me. Jake was also all-district and all-state, and he's also on the golf team currently right now. And he just decided that he will be playing at Missouri Valley next year up in Marshall, Missouri. And tremendous job this year of providing senior leadership and making shots and playing defense. Just an overall great job. So that's our team. Like I said, an unbelievable group to coach, pleasant to be around. They're good kids off the court and in the classroom, and we look forward to next year. Thank you for having us.
They've done this before.
Mayor, I've got a question real quick for a favor, really. First of all, it's been a real special year, and we thank everybody, schools, everybody. But I was wondering, the first group that we had a picture with, if we could merge them with this group here and get a group of both groups together after they get their pictures. Would that be possible?
Absolutely, we have plenty of time, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Do us anything they
There, you gotta get in here and be.
Listen to you talking, I'll take you.
Impressive.
Every once in a while.
Carlson, you wanna get your girl in here now?
Sign would be in the background. Hey, cut.
We're gonna have all these older people get on their knees.
Basketball court right next door. I just thought it was there. We need to get these two together right now. I'd like to see a scrimmage. That's pretty incredible.
No, they're not, they can't even fathom it. You know, even if you're standing right next to them, you can't. I know, I never could. I never thought I'd be this old. I really did, the way I was talking in front of her. Did we ever think we were gonna get this?
And now, wrestle.
Yeah. One either. Landscape. Panorama.
You guys had a picture like this before? Kinda.
You'll probably be on the US News and World Report. Nightly news.
By the way, I'm gonna send this to Natalie, get you guys in trouble.
This is what they're gonna look like in 50 years.
Sobering stuff. Well, something to look forward to right there.
Downhill for me. They just don't believe it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Don't let him get out there. It's scrimmage after this.
Dude, scrimmage, yeah.
Junior's open. Gym's open, guys.
There's a meeting there. Frank, do play-by-play?
So much for our audience.
They weren't here for us.
I'll tell you, that banner's turned out good.
Yeah. That's been a good adventure.
Yep. I can't see that. Oh, Stephanie plays with it. Oh, turn around. Where the hell it is? I don't know. It's over here. What are we talking about? Fletcher. Oh, okay. Doug or Gary? I knew that's Gary. Gary. His wife. Okay. It's been a long time since I
Where you going,
when they built their house out on 188. That's been a long time.
Mayor, the
And it
camera.
was, you know, he used to work there.
Care for a little shoot.
They're making an enormous these may not make their way to society. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Two plays all the time. Which plays and any plays?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Meadowlark.
Come on then.
There you go.
And did you want to take over?
Good time.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone, to participate. I certainly appreciate that. Something you don't see very often is a two-state men's basketball championship teams 50 years apart. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And no, Charlie, I'm not going to say that you graduated high school in 1963 when most of us weren't born yet. But I'm not going to say anything like that. We'd like to go to the next item on the agenda. A few weeks back, Mr. Christie and I had a chance to speak at the school board meeting, and some good things are going on with the school. Good things are going on between the school and city, and we want to take this opportunity to invite Superintendent Chance Wistrom. Just kind of give everybody an overview, kind of let you know where the school district is headed, some of the things that are going on there, and wanted to let him kind of get to know you, and you get to see him. This, I think, the first time he's had a chance to get with us, and that's excellent because they've got a lot of things going on over there headed in the right direction. So, Superintendent Wistrom, the floor is yours, sir.
Mr. Mayor asked me if I wanted to go first after I sat back there and reflected. Okay, you saw a state championship team from 50 years ago, and then the most recent state championship team. It's all downhill from there. You can yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you this evening. Just like to share a little bit about what we've done, where we're going. I'll keep it brief in general, and probably exciting, how we're working together to ensure a future. The big thing that I get questioned about a lot is construction. Construction is on time and on budget, which makes me sleep a lot better because our last building is set to open August 11th, and people start showing up August 14th. So, not a lot of pushing there. But we made a commitment to the public when that bond was passed that we would get started right away and have the buildings constructed, so that's what we chose to do. Admittedly, some of those projects have been delayed somewhat or will be delayed in terms of phases. Right now, we're opening up our Early Childhood Center. That's the brand-new center that you see going up on the corner of 174 North Main Street. You also see the expansion in the form of a FEMA structure and classroom wings on the old Early Childhood building, which is now termed Sweeney Elementary. We've also have an addition going on to Lyon Elementary. The next phase of that bond issue was a transportation facility, which we put on hold due to its placement. We felt like in working with the city and collaborate on that, we may be able to get a better spot to ease congestion and also address future expansion of our district as we grow. Some other pieces placed on hold, if you will, is the McCullough Playground, which is where the current transportation facility is, as well as the conversion of those offices to classrooms and the construction of a new central office. The new central office will be delayed and will be the last phase of construction. The bottom line is we say we're all about kids. We say keep the main thing, and that's student achievement. Student achievement occurs in the classrooms. Student achievement also occurs on the playgrounds, on the courts, in speech and debate rooms, and extracurricular facilities such as that. So we want to keep that first, and we want to show that we're walking the talk. So that's kind of where we are in terms of construction. Our bids came in higher than we anticipated. That was due to a combination of the Joplin tornado as well as an increase in construction in the area, and that's something we've had to accommodate for. But again, I'm so thrilled to state that we're on time and on budget. We are currently, academically, we are currently in the midst of state assessments. You hear the acronyms MAP test and EOC test. That is not what we're about. It's not who we are. Just like the athletic teams that we had up here, there is no doubt in my mind that they learned a tremendous amount about life, competition, being prepared to take risks, and being successful from those risks, and just as importantly, learning from their failures. That's important. But how were they graded by most people? There's a scoreboard up there in the corner of the gym, and that's how they were graded a lot of times. It's how coaches are graded off. It's not what they're about. It's not always the most important thing, but it's certainly the scoreboard. EOCs and math assessments are our scoreboard. It's not the only thing we're about. We're about teaching young people to be successful and meet the challenges of tomorrow. However, it's a scoreboard, and it's a scoreboard that we need to be successful on. So, we have a lot of internal initiatives in place. We really began to create a culture of data-driven decision-making where we have formative and summative assessments to determine what we're doing well, what we need to focus on improvement. Our students, as we begin to embrace that culture and learn how to make those data-driven decisions. And a lot of times when people jump in the deep end of the data pool, and we become data-rich and action-poor. We measure everything and don't spend time to reflect and evaluate. We want to walk that fine line between developing a culture where we can determine exactly what we want to measure and then spend time collaborating as to how we can best meet our student needs. That's a focus for this year. We hope and fully expect that relates to a positive state assessment score as we do all of those other things that I referenced for our young people. In order to accurately gauge that success, we've developed a cohort of large school Central Ozark Conference districts such as the Willards, the Bransons, the Nixes, the Ozarks, the Carthage, Neosho, Webb City, that we will compare these math and assessment scores to. The exciting piece is we're developing relationships with those districts, so when we see they're performing well, how did you do this? What did you do here? Also, we can look internally and see, hey, this group is scoring great in this classroom. How can we replicate that success? There's a lot of exciting things that we have going on there. We also have focused on communication. Yes, we've hired a communication director, and one thing I want to share with everyone, and I really tried to expunge this thought, is I've had several individuals say, well, you hired a public relations director. No. That's not what we did. We'll take care of that. Our students will take care of that for us. What we hired was a communication director, a person that can facilitate the creation of that internal communication structure. We have become a school district of 600-plus employees. That communication doesn't happen by accident. And just like the city, who is your best, most trusted source of knowledge? It's the individuals in the system. So we need to make sure they're informed. They know what's going across 8 different buildings. We also need to embrace the digital natives, if you will. These are the individuals that grew up with internet. They grew up with real-time communication. I'm dating myself a little bit, but When I grew up, if you read the paper the next day, you were well informed. True. Now, if we don't know what decision is being talked about 2 months before it's made, we don't feel informed. We want opportunities to voice our opinion. We want to be in the know. We want to know a decision that's been made within, I say hours, but really it comes down to minutes sometimes. I've fielded phone calls where I've had folks say, hey, look, that decision was made an hour ago and I haven't heard anything. Wow. How far our world has, or how much our world has changed. So Josie McPhail, our communication director, is working on utilizing social media, modern communication methods to not only inform individuals of what's going on within our district, but perhaps even most importantly, outside of our district. Those folks that I referenced as digital natives, they're not the students coming to school anymore. They're our patrons sending students to school, and we need to be responsive to their needs. We are servant leaders, and that's just a piece of it today. I think, I won't go there, but I think in modern successful businesses, that's been one of the number one initiatives that each of those individuals I've spoken to, or the literature I've read, the research I've had the opportunity to peruse, that's the one thing they've pointed to is that communication. With that in mind, what I have here is this is a special time and a special place. Republic is truly a special community. And I'm so excited about the the journey we are on right now with the city leadership, city employees, of embracing the mantra of "We are Republic." Not to quote the movie "We Are Marshall," but truly, we are Republic. When individuals think of Republic, it needs to be synonymously with our community, our city, and our schools. That's the only way we're going to be successful. Likewise, our demographic study just came back. You may have had the opportunity to peruse that. I don't know. We are slated to have up to 40% growth in enrollment over the next decade. Think about that. 40% growth. The old adage of fail to plan to fail, I think could easily come to fruition for those school districts that are facing that type of growth, and they choose to undertake that growth and prepare for that growth alone. Likewise, cities and communities wanting to experience that growth without embracing schools, they're failing to plan, or they're planning to fail, whichever way you look at that. We are so excited to be embarking on this journey with the city as we prepare for this. You've already seen some of the fruition of these conversations. The surplusing of police cars so that we can have an added safety presence in our schools, the surplusing of buses back to the city so that we can even better service our already impressive parks project, the communication going on within city planning and school construction. We have several other safety protocols and standard operating procedures that we're developing with the city. I don't want to go too in-depth with that, but our children are going to better schools, better parks, and a better community because of this communication. And that sounds to the average patron pretty much common sense. Duh, why would you not do that? However, that doesn't happen. To give you an idea, some of the things we've been working on with Chief Lowe at our school and city meetings, I read a newspaper article about a very progressive community and school district in San Diego, California, that they were doing things to promote safety and security within their schools. Now, I don't quite understand airing that for everyone to see, because that debilitates some of what you're doing in terms of being proactive and planning, but there are some of the same things that we already had in the works here. So it's an exciting time, and I know that doesn't happen by accident. That happens with leadership and clear direction of where we want to go. And I appreciate the group up here, the city councilmen and women. Thank you so much. Mayor Buckner, Mr. Kriske, thank you so much for all the direction you're providing and the support you're providing so that we can meet in the middle.
Does it mean that we're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya around the campfire all the time, every day? No. I think you would probably not buy into all of that, and that would not be the truth. But what I can tell you is there are times when we have difficult conversations that adult professionals need to have, certainly professionals that are passionate about what they're doing. We have good, candid, frank, objective conversations. Sometimes we revisit them, and we find a common meeting ground that we can help each other. Because I firmly believe that we all have all the same thing in mind, and that's Republic, Missouri, the patrons of the Republic, and in my opinion, most importantly, I call them babies, regardless of how, obviously we have big babies here, and they take offense to that.
That's why they left.
Thank goodness. They rolled in the parking lot. But that's what they are, and that's what we're preparing them for, and I can tell you the reason I moved here even before having this job is I wanted an opportunity to raise my children in a community that was progressive and offer them opportunities, but also a community that had parks programs, that I wasn't fleeing the park when the sun went down, that I knew some of the mothers, fathers, guardians of children that were coming to my school, and I saw a sense of solidarity in wanting to remain Republic no matter how big or how small. So I appreciate the opportunity, the leadership you provide to do that, and I'm really excited about Republic's future as we prepare to do this. Without further ado, I apologize for rambling, but I get excited sometimes, and you just have to give me the hook. So,
You don't have
are there questions you have for me?
I just want to reiterate too, Council, that we started the school and city group meetings. It's very similar to our par group meetings that we have internally in the city. We started this back in October. That conversation started back in September with Mr. Wistrom, Mr. Cantrell, Jim, and myself. And out of that, a lot of this communication and this chance, as mentioned, has come to fruition because of those meetings and because of that discussion. It is an open dialogue, trust me, it is an open dialogue, and we are going down a path, as Chance mentioned, we're headed down a path together, and that's something that this community, and as we grow, will be needed for the future. So I just want to reiterate that, just to let you know, we're meeting on a monthly basis, and we call it the SAC meeting. We're sacking problems, but school and city, and it's worked out very well. So just that's what he was referencing to, just to keep everybody up to date, up to speed. So questions for Superintendent Wistrom? Anything at all?
My dad always said, if you talk long enough, everyone's eyes will glaze over. Smart man, he can't drink.
Thank you so much. Chance, thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, public hearing. There's not anything on public hearing. Would like to open it up now to citizen participation. Anyone wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name, sign in, and give us your best 3 minutes. Keith, you're the only citizen here. Did you have anything? Okay, just checking. Seeing none, citizen participation closed. Like a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Welcome, Laura. Give us an overview of the financial report.
Sure, good evening.
Good evening.
What you have in front of you is where our sales tax stands as of right now. We did lose a little bit of ground. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, before you get going, microphones are right in front of you. When the papers go over the top of the microphone, they'll go like that. So be careful with the microphones. Thank you. Go ahead.
With the last distribution that we received, we did lose a little bit of ground, but still at -1%. We still got 10 more months to go, so hopefully we will pull back out of that. The motor fuel tax, it did decrease a little bit for the March collection, but I assume that probably with the better weather coming, we will see more vehicles and more travel, and probably receive more fuel tax receipts from that. So we still have 9 more months to collect on that to meet our budget. So
Questions, comments, discussion for Laura? Seeing none, need a motion to approve financial report?
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Krischke, any reports, sir?
Nothing?
Now, Mr. Derrickson?
Yes, sir.
On to the next item. Future community events, welcome Jared Keeley. Jared, when's your birthday? Jared, let me ask that question again. Jared, when's your birthday?
May 4th.
May 4th.
It's Star Wars Day.
So, well, yes, it is. I think you're agreeing that.
It's a Derby Day, too.
It's also Derby Day, and it's also our 5K day.
That's exactly right.
The May run, but I would like to know, would like everyone to know. I don't usually give birthdays and dates out. I'm not going to pick on you, Charlie, ever again. How old do you turn, Jared? I'm going to let you tell them.
Big 40 this year.
Big 40.
Yeah.
The child.
It's not so bad.
You wouldn't even know this if he didn't come into one of our staff meetings the other day. That's
I
what irritating.
accidentally dropped into his staff meeting just to say hi, and his employees let it out that he was going to turn 40.
On purpose, I might.
On purpose, I might add, but they want to have a little happy early birthday,
Appreciate that.
40th. It's all downhill. Charlie will tell you, it's all downhill.
Already feeling that part, yeah.
You feeling it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Future community events, sir.
Appreciate that. Future community events for the rest of April and into May. April 23rd through May the 9th, Arthritis Foundation Exercise Program. We hold that program here Tuesdays 1:30 p.m. and on Thursdays at 10 a.m. April 24th is Messy Munchkins. It's at 10:30 a.m. Pre-registration is required. April 25th, May 2nd, May 9th, and 16th is Toddler Tumbling. 5:30 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. We hold that next door in the Activities Building. April 25th is the Senior Movie. It's at 2 p.m. We hold that actually right here in the Community Center, the community rooms. The movie is Moonrise Kingdom. And true to my word, I got you a little information on Moonrise Kingdom.
Lay it on us, sir.
Very limited in information, but Bruce Willis, Ed Norton, Bill Murray, Kara Hayward. It's about two young kids that fall in love and run away. There you go.
That's the shortest synopsis
That's all
I've
you
ever
need to
heard.
know right there. I'll see you here on whatever that date is. April 26th, May 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st. It's Toddler Storytime, 10:30 a.m. This is a free event. No registration is required. This is held here at the Republic Community Center as well. April 29th, May 6th, 13th, and 20th is Toddler Open Gym, 10 a.m. That's held next door in our Activities Building. May 4th, which is a week from Saturday, is our 10th annual May Day 5K and 1 mile fun run. It's held beginning and the finish at the start down at the Aquatic Center. The times for the 5K is 8 a.m. and the 1 mile fun run is at 7:30 a.m. We do believe we should be pushing right at 1,000 participants this year, so it's going to be a great run for us. May 25th is opening day and opening weekend of the Republic Aquatic Center. That, of course, is Memorial Day weekend. We begin daily operations on the 25th, and we'll go daily all the way till Republic School starts back. We ultimately close down on Labor Day.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Jared. Board Commissions Committee schedule, Board of Adjustments, May 2nd, Capital Improvements, May 22nd, City Council, May 6th is a special work session regarding the Unified Code, May 13th and May 27th, the regular scheduled council meetings. On to Planning and Zoning Commission, May 20th. On to old business, need a motion to have the second reading of Bill Number 13-18.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstention? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Overland Properties, LLC.
Need a motion to have final approval of Bill Number 13-18.
Motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Welcome, Mr. Brock. Give us the overview, sir.
Thank you. Overland Properties is the developer of a Dollar General store, and they have selected a site at 221 Highway 60. This is an older section of town. Really have outdated water and sewer infrastructure in this area. And so this memorandum of understanding lays out different improvements to the water and sewer system that the developer would make, and also the city. On the developer's behalf, very quickly, a short sewer extension with dedication to the city of sewer easement for future work by the city. And on the water side, a crossing under Highway 60 that the developer would undertake. And the developer would also dedicate easements along the frontage for future city expansion of the system. The city's obligation under the MOU would be the replacement of about 265 feet of water main in the vicinity of Main Street and Broad. Would estimate that expense to be about $7,500 on the city's behalf. Additional work to what I might say normalize sewer and water service in that area is something that we need to undertake, particularly on the sewer side. The development of that area occurred over a number of years. We have kind of a mishmash of shared sewer service laterals that cross a number of properties, and we will be bringing forward a proposed project to do that sewer work in the near future.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brock? Mr. Brock, are these two additional water hydrants there, those fire hydrants?
Yes.
Basically, do we have anything in that general direction now, Chief?
We're extremely short on water for this development in Southwest Climate Shop.
So this is going to assist in with the, okay, thank you. Thank you. Additional questions, comments, discussion, Mr. Brown? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Harrelson?
Aye.
Councilmember Poole? Aye. Councilmember Casagrande?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashear?
Aye.
Councilmember Groom?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Klinkingbear?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0. On to the next item of business. Need a motion to have the second reading of bill number 1-13-19.
Motion.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri approving the final plat of the Brookline Business Park Phase 1 subdivision located at the 1500 block of South State Highway MM in the City of Republic, Missouri.
Need a motion to have final approval, bill number 13-19.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Welcome back, Gail.
Thank you.
Give us the overview, Ms. Nava.
I certainly will. This bill is going to approve the final plat of the first phase of the Brookline Business Park subdivision, which is a business park located along South State Highway MM. Some of the details that will be presented to you this evening is the specifics on the business park itself. The business park is a commercial subdivision comprised of about 82 acres, and as previously mentioned, is located along the 1500 block of South State Highway MM. The business park is also located with property within the general commercial C2, light industrial M1 and M2 zoning district. And the preliminary plat contains 25 total lots, most ranging from 1 to 3 acres in size. The first phase of the subdivision is submitted now for final platting and contains 9 lots along with all necessary services and utilities to support the commercial industrial development. The preliminary plat for the business park was originally approved in February 2007 and has been extended since then in 2009, 2011, and most recently in 2013. And the plat, currently preliminary plat, is scheduled to expire in February of 2015. At the present time, there remain several issues that will need to be addressed prior to the certification and recording of the final plat in Greene County. And our city attorney, Mr. Derrickson, has prepared a memo containing a motion to approve that will direct staff to ensure full compliance prior to the certification. Some of those issues include, number one, an acceptance of off-site easement and utilities, approval of as-built drawings, receipt of security agreement for infrastructure maintenance, and a receipt of security agreement for deferred infrastructure work, which is primarily pertaining to the detention as far as plugging the holes. I'll let David get into that if you all have any questions, and also the hammerheads that need to be completed for the fire department as well, and then proper closing of open DNR permits for water and sanitary sewer. Then also, what is needed is an establishment of a property owners association along with appropriate covenants and restrictions for the common area maintenance. Staff is really confident that these issues will be properly resolved in a timely fashion so that the final plat can be filed of record. If the applicant fails to address any of the outstanding items, then staff will not certify the plat, which will keep it from being filed with the recorder's office. And if a plat is not properly filed of record within 60 days of council approval, then that approval becomes void, and the applicant would have to resubmit the final plat to the city council. So there's a safety net there. So at this time, the staff recommends approval of the final plat, providing city staff receives the requested information and necessary documents.
Thank you, Gail. I'm going to let Ron go through some of the ins and outs on...
If council chooses to accept the recommendation of staff, what we would need to have is the council person that made the original motion, amend that motion with the language set out in the memo, with the person who seconded that motion agreeing to that amendment of the motion. And then that would be what council would be approving as far as the final plat, if you choose to do that.
That goes back to Brendan. Who made the original motion?
Shane.
Just pull one of them out.
I had Shane and Jeff. I wonder if that's...
I had Shane and
I had Shane and Charlie.
I had Shane and
The
Charlie.
first time I say something tonight.
So,
you want me to read the whole thing?
I want you to read the bottom part.
Yeah. I move to approve the final plat subject to applicant providing to city staff the following information and documents prior to the planning department signing the final plat. Presenting an improvement security code per section 410.250, incomplete improvements including needed work on the detention basin. Presenting a maintenance security code per section 410.355, presenting proof of establishment of a property owners association, presenting proof of establishment of covenants and restrictions, presenting off-site easements, presenting as-built documents, presenting proof that MDNR permits for water and sewer extensions have been suitably closed out by the state, and presenting any minor non-substantive changes to the final plat required by any of the requirements set out in 1 through 7 above.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Before you vote on that, I just want to make sure I'm not misstating anything, but staff has talked about this several times. Everything on here is in the works. They just have not been able to get it to us. I've been in communication with their attorney as far as the homeowners or property owners association and development of the covenants and restrictions, and they are working on those, and I think David's been in communication with them, and Gail's been in communication on the other issues. So we don't anticipate there will be any problem them getting this to us, and just want you to know that it's not something that's, far-fetched for them to get to us.
Okay. I have that motion, and I have a second. We need to vote on the amendment, and then we go back, correct? Or, how you wanted it?
That was, how would we do that? No, we're in the discussion phase right now.
Okay. We have a motion, a second to amend, as we have, right?
Right.
Okay. Questions, comments, discussion for Gail? Anything at all? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Quinkenbeard,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Groom,
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder,
Aye.
Councilmember Casagrande,
Aye.
Councilmember Full,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrelson.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0. On the next item, need a motion of the first reading of bill number 13-20.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental cooperative agreement with Greene County for asphalt overlay services.
Thank you, Brenda. Welcome, Mr. Brock. Please give us the overview, David.
Cooperating with Greene County for our asphalt overlay has kind of become a staple for us. I think this is our 10th year of working with county fashion. And the primary benefit for the city is the substantially lower prices that we're able to achieve. On the exhibit, we've got a kind of a tally of a number of years' history. You can see that there was a slight increase this year, not substantially more than what we were hoping for, substantially less than what we feared. Part of this exhibit includes our street work for this year. When we do our annual budgeting, we take a conservative approach on estimating expenditures, and when the bid prices or contract prices come in, then we go back and reevaluate how that affects our budget numbers. And generally, when we use that conservative approach, we can add projects. So one of the projects we'd like to add this year was South Magnolia from Rosewood to Elm. That was one that was on our initial budget proposal, but as we worked through the totals and revenues and expenses, had to drop that project off. So the price that came in more than covers the about $29,000 in the cost to add Magnolia on there. The second page of the exhibit, you'll find the remainder of our projects and the price difference that we realize with this contract price. One other difference mentioned for this year, our contractor for this area would be Blevins Asphalt. Makes sense if you've seen their asphalt plant that they constructed up at the intersection of James River and Highway 60. A lot of the expense is really shipping the product to the work site. So look forward to a little different contractor this year, but we hope that it'll go well under Greene County's supervision.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Brock? Mr. Quickenbeer, go ahead.
We're adding a project here because we have extra funds. Should we not wait until we find out what our final options are for Dogwood, where we may need to utilize some of those funds to do something there before we start signing up for another project?
That is certainly something that the council should keep in mind. A little different situation than we've had in years past, but certainly worthy of your discussion on that.
I mean, is there a problem? I mean, we've got enough time. Is there a problem to either table this or bring this back up after we have an opportunity to find out exactly what this council is going to decide to do at Dogwood?
Mr. Brock, let me interject. Mr. Quickenbeer, your question is an excellent one. However, on this one, it is a first read. Council can decide on a second reading to postpone. Since this is a first read, you guys will be able to discuss all you want, as far as you want. But to make a motion to postpone will be done on the second reading.
Sure, not to make a motion, I'm merely...
I understand, yeah, I just want to make sure everybody understands the process.
Sure, no, I appreciate that.
So,
but, I mean, that would be, what I would think would be prudent, if we have some extra funds, it might be good to save them for something else that we may have to do that we didn't quite get right.
And Mr. Quickenbeer, your point's well taken. We do have a meeting on May 2nd with the homeowners as well as council, so we'll have hopefully some information come back then. And if we don't have a resolve by the first meeting in May, which will be another 11 days later, might be a good opportunity to take that time to make your motion to postpone that. So just want to make sure everybody understands the time frame, so your point's well taken. We will have a chance to look at that before we get on to the second reading. So, Mr. Christian?
And also to keep in mind, actually what's in front of you is the agreement, the intergovernmental agreement with Greene County to join in on this service. So we could back out the Magnolia. We really wouldn't be able to afford to table this particular item because we do want to be a party to this contract and this agreement so that we can get ourselves in place to get the improvements done this year. So the portion on Magnolia could be, it's not incorporated in the actual ordinance. It was really more brought up in the exhibit, but we can pull that back out.
So this list of projects is more of an example of what the money could be used for, and it's the more important part of this resolution is the intergovernmental agreement bit. So it may still be good next time to clarify that by removing that project temporarily. We can always add it back in, but then that wouldn't hold up this particular item.
You okay with that, Mr. Brown?
Just maybe a word on timing.
Go ahead, sir.
One of the issues we've had in the past, and I note in the exhibit, part of the good pricing here is that the contractor has a lot of discretion on when they show up. We have just one street that we're going to overlay, Boston Lane. Very little prep work there to get it ready. No inconvenience to the folks use that street once we get it prepped. We have a large number of projects where we're going to rebuild the street. We'll grind the base that's out there and reconstruct it from the ground up. What we have found is when we get the projects ready in the spring, there is a shorter wait between the time that we have that road prepped and when the contractors can arrive. So as much as we can, we'd like to have that spring schedule. So I guess my request would be that we not put a decision off too long on the street work that we're going to do this year.
Fair enough. Additional questions, comments? That's a good point, Mr. Quickenberry. Additional questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Bry? Anything at all? Seeing none, that is a first read. If you have questions or comments, as Mr. Quickenberry's pointed out too, we need to look at some other projects as we go along, but again, this is an intergovernmental agreement. We'll have a chance to look at that in our second reading. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Other business, resolution number 13-R-2A, resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, establishing an insurance contracting policy. Any motion?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Krischke, please give us the overview, sir.
Okay, hopefully the exhibit had made some sense, but we've been batting this around for quite a while. When vendors come to do work in the city, the typical requirement that we give them is that you need to provide statutory limit with regards to the amount of general liability insurance that you need to have. The state sets that amount, and in this particular year for 2013, that statutory limit is $2,618,230. Bigger contractors, bigger companies, they certainly carry that level of insurance because they do a lot of this type of work. But when you get down to some of the smaller contracts and some of the smaller projects we do, many of those companies are smaller in nature and they do not have that type of insurance requirements. And what will happen is one will either exclude some of those companies from even bidding on a project. Sometimes if they do bid on a project, they would have to incur the cost of getting additional insurance, which raises the cost of the project to the city. And over the last couple of years, we have been, as staff, has been making some what we refer to as business decisions on some of the projects. If it's a smaller level project with a contractor potentially fixing an air conditioning unit or doing some sort of minor maintenance, we would lower their requirements for insurance down to about $2 million. Again, it wouldn't be a particular big risk, but it's become a situation now where we feel if we're going to continue to do this, and it's something that council feels that we should do, we would like to get their approval in terms of a resolution to establish a policy. What we hope to see happen, if we do establish a policy that gives us some guidance on what we can require in the way of insurance, hopefully we'll see a lot more local participation from some of the companies where we won't be having to exclude those, and then at the same time we'll be able to see maybe a lesser amount than some of the costs that we are incurring for some of the work that we're doing. The actual resolution will give the guideline as to what the parameters would be. Anything larger than a $25,000 contract for a project or a service that they would do would require the maximum level of insurance. If it's a $5,000 to $25,000 amount contract, we would require just a $2 million amount, which seems to be what's most common in the industry. And even for some of the real small ones, less than $5,000, we would be able to accept $1 million in liability coverage. None of this would be able to happen if we don't have some sort of accountability to that. So it would require the department head, the finance director, and myself to all reach agreement that this is something that is acceptable. We wouldn't be putting the city at risk. So the three people involved in that would be signing off on that. And if there's even the smallest project, could be a $1,000 project, but it could be welding something that would, potentially be dangerous, then of course we would want to automatically require a larger level of insurance. But that's kind of it in a nutshell, and once again, we just want to get something official from council before we move forward.
Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Krischke? Mr. Harder?
Are other municipalities doing this also, or is this?
I would assume so, but I don't know for certain.
And this would fall in the guidelines of the Missouri state regulations? I mean, do they?
Could I answer that?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. What the Missouri state statute does is annually, the upper limits of liability is established for a city. That's at $2,600,000 figure that you heard mentioned. And that's set by a formula in the statute. And so from a legal perspective, you want to have that full amount covered. From a practical, and what Jim was talking about from a business decision standpoint is if you got someone coming in spraying for insects, which they need to do in my office right now because there's a termite swarm there today, you probably don't
with that. You know that.
You probably don't need $2,600,000 worth of insurance for a guy coming in there and spraying for bugs. But like Jim said, you might have a $1,000 project where they're doing something very dangerous, and you wouldn't want to require it. And this gives us the flexibility if council wants to do it. If you want to be absolutely 100% sure that we're always covered, you'd require the $2,600,000 on everything, whether it's the bug guy or someone doing a major construction project. But you eliminate a lot of people, local businesses, if you go that route.
I just didn't know if other municipalities are doing this, if it was, something standard or.
Not sure.
Okay.
If something were to happen and we were to take a $2 million policy and there would be something were to happen and the city were sued or a contractor would sue, the policy that the contractor would have would cover up to their maximum limit, and then whatever that difference would be the exposure the city would have. So we would still have, our insurance would still pick up that difference if need be, but, and nothing in here would take away from the fact that a contractor needs to have their workers' comp insurance, they would need to have their automobile insurance. So all of those requirements would be in place. And the other advantage that we would also have, and I did not mention, is when we go out for bid, we need to make sure that we provide, clear direction on what type of insurance you do need. Because we've run into that before where we put something out for bid and the contractors don't look at it close enough, and then they win the bid, and then when we tell them you need to have this type of insurance, well, then they don't have it, and sometimes they've withdrawn their bid, or sometimes they've been forced to go out and get the necessary insurance. So this would make it a lot cleaner and easier to do business, but again, it's, a little more of a risk than I think, we want to take on our own. We'd rather have council to approve a policy.
So if you've got something that's borderline between, say, the $1 million and the $2 million, and say David's sending something out for bid, it's going to be up to him to say, you need to bid this knowing you're going to carry $1 million or $2 million worth of insurance. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, it'd be real easy for one guy to come in at $4,950 and the other comes in at $5,100. They've got different insurance requirements.
Well, also depends on the project. You could have a project not cost.
I'm assuming that neither of them are, that
Sure.
in both cases, we're not talking about something replacing a screw pump.
And one of the things, the last paragraph of the policy is kind of a bailout provision. Those three individuals, the city administrator, the department head, and the finance director, can actually look at the project and say they need more insurance than what it says, or they can have less insurance than what it says based upon what they're doing. A computer programmer probably wouldn't need $2,600,000 insurance, but and it could be a $100,000 project. Who knows? So you're giving some flexibility there if you choose to adopt this policy.
Well, as I read it, the flexibility is only below the certain dollar amount, and above that dollar amount, there is no flexibility.
It can go both ways.
So even the above 50,000 mark, they can change it to?
If you have someone that's did a contract for removing a boulder and it's $2,500, you probably want the $2,600,000 insurance if you're using dynamite or something.
Or cutting down a tree would be a perfect example.
Exactly.
We're in a park, it may be a lower amount of a contract, but the danger to somebody being injured and some type of activity like that would be higher. And Laura, I'm not sure if I'm misspeaking or not, but this policy is generally what you've been used to in the past. So to answer your question, Dan, about had other cities used this, I believe this came from Laura's.
We did have different levels of the dollar amount of the project, and there was different levels of insurance. And then we did have that ability to waive the insurance or the SOP. I know in that case, at least one other city did have that.
Thank you. One thing is, the state has set this limit for a reason, and maybe we need to look at that, and they've got it set for a reason, and it works for the state. So.
Well, that limit is just the maximum amount that the city can be sued for, correct?
That is correct, it's the maximum amount.
That's not necessarily the amount of insurance that you
It's
need to
not a
have.
liability piece of it, that's what you can be sued for. So that's
And
why.
that's the basic argument right there. Is do you want, the business decision is, does council want to accept some risk and exposure, or do you want to just say the maximum amount is what we want in everything?
And are we talking about $1 million to $2.4 million? Is that what we're talking about? Because that's what the base is right here, correct? Less than projects, less than $5,000. So really, you're talking about, Daniel, to your point, you're talking about a variance of $4 million. That's really what you're talking about risking versus 2.4?
But you said our other
2.6 versus 1.0.
Our other insurance would pick up that differential though, correct?
Yeah, we are fully covered as a city, so if we were to get sued, we would be covered up to that maximum amount.
I will say, as a business owner, it is fairly standard to carry insurance in million and half-million increments at the dollar levels we're talking. I always carried $1 million with a $2 million liability, so the people that are doing the $2.6 million probably have a $3 million policy, and to Ron's, with the exterminator issues, that's a great thing, is that a lot of those individuals probably have like $1 million, and we're eliminating a lot of small businesses that could handle that. So, and the fact that we have the flexibility, or at least through the city leadership, to decide that if they're doing something that's extremely dangerous, and they're welding around a natural gas line or whatever, that they can make that decision. And I assume that will go. They're going out. That will be put on the bid as it goes out. It won't be made after the fact, correct? We'd make that decision on the jobs before it went out.
On most cases, yes. We had a case a few years back where we were doing some, I'd say relatively minor AC work. We had a local company that had done work for us in the past, has done a very good job for us, and we had to say no because you didn't have the statutory limit of insurance. So, there are cases where we've had to turn away some of the local businesses because of this. So, and good, bad, or different, as staff, we have made some decisions to accept lower amounts. We've done it on a case-by-case basis, not very often, but it's gotten to the point where we just felt that we're not, entirely comfortable with doing that without letting council know, hey, here's what an option would be, here's what we can do. Laura brought in something that has worked for her in the past, so that's why we brought it forward.
Mr. Kessler?
It occurs to me that the dollar cost of the project has absolutely nothing to do with the risk involved.
That's right.
So that basing the one on the other, you're comparing apples and oranges. So say it's a $500 job, well, I can think of all kinds of really, really dangerous $500 jobs. Also, Brenda, if you could call us the day we call council, the day before we weld next to the gas lines, that'd be helpful.
You got it.
I think that, and to my third point, seriously, I think that most contractors and subs know that if they're going to do government work, that they are going to need the required amount of insurance, and that is a standard policy or standard understanding for contractors that in this day and age, if they're going to do work for us, we may have had to turn away an air conditioning guy, but I'm sure there are many out there that I'm sure Far Better Plumbing could do air conditioning work and has plenty of insurance. They're legitimate, large local companies. So just a couple points for thought.
Additional comments, questions, discussion? You guys are all doing a good job. Mr. Clayton, go ahead.
How often, you mentioned the one air conditioner guy, how often do you think this happens, or how many bids? I mean, if in Casa Grande's point, I can see, why mess with this or make it arbitrary or make a few people make that decision. I can see that side of it too. How many people are we really talking about here if we leave this alone?
I don't know if I can put a number. I don't know if I would have a number.
Yeah, I mean,
is it dozens or a couple?
Yeah, I would imagine it's a dozen, I would say.
It's the minor things where this
Plays into
that pops up the most, and Councilman Casagrande's exactly right. Some of those minor things, like the air conditioning unit, they're going to be out there with a truck lifting this huge air conditioning unit up onto the, I think that was the police station, wasn't it, or was that the one?
Or working with sheet metal.
Yeah.
You slice an artery, and next thing you know, you got a dead person there
and
for
so,
what you thought was a $500 million job. Well, seriously. It happened at Lauren Cook just a few years ago, where somebody died from a.
So the question is, does council want to stick with the full amount of coverage, or does council feel comfortable giving some flexibility, understanding that the $500 contract, if it's clearly a dangerous deal, these three can say, no, you got to have the full $2,600,000, and hope that those three are sharp enough to catch that.
I guess I will add one other thing, is it is not that expensive to get $2 million, $2.5 million worth of liability insurance. It's not terribly cost prohibitive. I have $1 million policy for a business that I have, and it's, maybe $400, a year.
If the job is dangerous, it's significant, but I would think that the business owner would want to carry that much anyway at this day and age, so I agree.
One of these businesses, I'm sorry, Jim, but we're talking about sole proprietors, and they're going to carry some liability insurance, but to your point, maybe it is only an extra $400 or $800, but if all that gets them is $100 or $200, $300 jobs a year, it's obviously it's excluded then. And again, the dollar amounts are set here, and quite frankly, they are kind of not necessarily arbitrary, but they're meaningless in that the final paragraph still gives the final approval, regardless of dollar amount, to the three individuals. And it just makes sense for the city. You're going to save a little bit of money. The exposure you're talking about is really minimal, because if there is any danger at all, obviously you're going to go on up to that statutory limit. You're not going to say it's $1 million, but if it is $100,000 computer for some maybe computer programming or some help for Sean in IT, in setting up some servers, whatever. There's no danger there, and to go to a higher bidder just because you want $2.6 million instead of $1 million is wasting the taxpayers' money.
I would say, going back to the exterminator thing, if you eliminate a guy in Republic working out of his house, I mean, how many exterminators are in Springfield that probably carry this amount? I mean, are we really talking about changing our bid dollar to come in and exterminate that much?
I don't know.
And on the computer thing, same thing. I think there's enough. It'd be different if we were only getting 2 bids, and we weren't getting enough bids, and we needed to come in here and say, there's a reason we don't have enough bids, we don't have enough people to look at, and we need to lower the liability insurance to get more bids in. Are we having problems getting bids in? Is that another side of it?
Let me give a quick example. Mr. Keeling, go ahead, sir.
I can just give you examples. Honestly, it's a business decision. You guys make the decision, and I'm totally fine with whatever. But just a couple off the top of my head are pest control and irrigation services. We went out for IFB or RFPs for those on an annual basis, and we said we required the full amount through the Missouri Registry. We immediately got phone calls in from the local businesses saying they don't carry that amount of insurance and they wouldn't be able to turn in a bid. So what do we do in those situations? We went to Bug Zero out of Springfield and Watersmith Irrigation out of Nixa. They both carried the bigger amounts. Did we all end up paying more for the service? Yes, we did, but they did cover the full amount. And we do run, I don't know about all of the other departments involved, but when we talk about facility maintenance and park maintenance, we run and get like this often. When we go out to bid for services, whether it be the ones I already mentioned or working on a water heater or working on a plumbing problem that we can't do with our internal staff or whatever, we've put together an IFB, an RFP, or working on the ball field lights. There's another classic example. We got a lot of liability down there. We want to make sure we do the full amount. But ultimately, it is a business decision. I can tell you personally, though, that we have not gone with Republic businesses for some of these things because they don't have the necessary amounts, and we do get those phone calls all the time. Pest control services, irrigation people here in Republic, they just can't afford it. I think Shane made the point a minute ago, and we've heard this from numerous vendors, to go from that $2 million all the way up to $3 million is about, and don't quote me on this, but everyone I've talked to is around $1,200 to $1,500 to get that done. And is that good for them? Is that a good business decision for them to get a couple of jobs during the year, for governmental or whatever? So those are the things we are up against as far as doing it here. We do pretty much toe the line, other than a couple of appeals we've made to Jim on some jobs that we thought was in the best interest and there wasn't much liability involved. So we do it. We are probably the most guilty party, I'll say that. We do make appeals to Jim and all the time, not all the time, but probably 4 or 5 instances of we thought maybe it'd be best to go with lower insurance amounts. So I hope that helps, but thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
I think what's on the table here is a decent thing to do because there's just so many little people in the world, and the bigger businesses are slowly but surely taking over everything and running the small businesses out. So, personally, I'm in favor of this.
Thanks, sir. Additional questions, comments, discussion? Anything at all? You guys are lively. Great.
I'm just glad to see they have as much difficulty with it as
Yeah,
we
you
do.
do. This is fair as fair. Anything else? Additional questions, comments, discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
Just 2?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 6-2. On to the next item. Thank you. Resolution number 13-R-25, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of an equipment rental agreement with Murphy Tractor and Equipment Company. Would like to have a motion? Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. David, give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. For a long number of years, the Works Department of Street Water and Sewer has maintained a fleet of 3 backhoes. Most of those years, we've owned those outright. You go through a process of essentially trying to trade those in. Hours get up. We ended up selling off a backhoe in 2008, I believe. Since that time, we've rented a backhoe from Murphy Tractor, and we're proposing to undertake that for a number of years, another year. This is a larger backhoe than the other two in the fleet. The price we have is still the same from the original bids that we put out in 2011 at $900 a month. This resolution would authorize the execution of a rental agreement for 12 months to carry us through next spring. We do have sufficient funds budgeted for an estimated contract value of $10,800.
Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Brock? Anything at all?
We're still sure that renting is the best way to go.
Go ahead and repeat the question.
So are we sure that renting is still the best way to go?
With the economy on the improvement, probably want to get back in the business of owning that third unit outright. However, to get back in that mode, we need to budget for a purchase, which is going to be about $75,000. So I suspect you will see that in our 2014 budget.
Seed planted for next year.
That answer your question, Mr. Grooms?
Yes, sir.
All right. Additional questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item, resolution number 13-R-26, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, accepting a sales proposal from Potter Equipment to trade out 2 backhoes. Would like to have a motion.
Motion. Second.
A motion and a second. Mr. Brock, you'll see over you, sir.
Thank you, Good Mayor. This is the counterpart to dealing with that backhoe fleet. We do own 2 2012 case backhoes, and we've received a proposal to essentially trade those in for 2013 models. And the cost to make that trade-in, $7,500 each. As Councilman Grooms mentioned before, and you compare that to a $900 a month rental, we essentially get a new piece of equipment for $680 per month each. So we've not seen these as good offers during the recession years. We had a couple years where we didn't trade the backhoes out. The magic numbers are 500 operating hours and 1,000 operating hours. In the exhibit, we compare this, whether that offer is good based on the amount of calculated depreciation. You can use straight line or double declining or some other method, but the market value of these takes a substantial hit at 500 hours. There's a declining value in 1,000 hours, it drops off the table again. So we're fortunate to be able to work with Potter Equipment on this, and would recommend trading out our 2012 2013 2 units for a total price of $15,000. Do want to note we have sufficient funds, again, budgeted for these replacements.
Questions, comments, discussion for David? Mr. Clinkenbeard?
This may sound trivial, but did we get these both at the same time?
We did. These were the same mechanism sales proposal we purchased in 2012.
I see that there's 100 hours difference between the two of them. Are they set up, you said they were the same, are they set up to do different jobs, or is there be any reason why we wouldn't want to watch the hours on them and utilize one that's running lower than the other one? We could have evened those out a little more.
They are assigned to different departments. These 2 units here, the one with the higher operating hours, that's assigned to the water department. They prefer a different set of controls than our other 2 departments. The other unit is actually split between water and wastewater. Street and wastewater. And so there's a higher demand, a higher usage out of the water department. They do the bulk of day in, day out excavation, and that is a good idea, though, to try to watch those hours as much as we can. And if I could get all the operators to prefer the same type of controls, that would certainly help in that.
Well, there may be a reason why they need to do that, and that's fine. I just curious, that might be something that, you know, if you had it for several years and they were really lopsided like that, could make a difference in their resale.
Question. Additional questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Brott? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. I'd like to make mention that we are going to have an executive session tonight, that no further action in open session will be taken. So after the executive session, our meeting will be adjourned, therefore there is not any more open session items. Need a motion to go into executive session under RSMO 610.021.1 and RSMO 610.021.3.
Motion?
Second. A motion and a second, roll call vote.
Councilmember Harrelson? Aye. Councilmember Full?
Aye.
Councilmember Casagran?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashear?
Aye.
Councilmember Groom?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Clinkenbeard?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0. Let's take a 5-minute recess.